Hi, aligned souls. Welcome to the Soul Revival podcast, where we have meaningful conversations to help you explore tools and healing methods that help you return to your soul self. Join us as we help you merge the ethereal and the material worlds, allowing you to live your most fulfilling and aligned life. I'm Lindsay Stanton, author, somatic practitioner, intuitive Reiki master, and grief coach.
Hello, I am Autumn, a believer in miracles, intuitive guide, and psychic medium. We're your hosts and guides. We don't just talk healing, we live it. This is where soul meets strategy, spirit meets structure, and our highest selves take the mic.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Soul Revival podcast. I am so looking forward to this episode and this conversation. It's so interesting how spirit works. I have been getting tapped in so many signs about inviting in Autumn to have this conversation and the power of what she's about to share and her story that is going to help so many people, no matter where you're at on your journey, especially any women listening. I feel like this is just going to be such an amazing episode. And I would say today's episode, think about it not only from the lens of being a female, being a mother, potentially being a mother, the opportunity of inviting in being a mother, but also the amazing power of our thoughts, visualization, and our spirit team in healing our bodies and not attaching to something that is told to us by the outside world. And with that, I'm turning it over to you to share your amazing, phenomenal, beautiful story, Autumn.
From the beginning, I knew this story was going to reach millions. I didn't know how it was going to unfold, but I know that this story has a lot of truth to it. It's going to anchor into a lot of females out there, even men out there. I mean, just the fact that we are constantly co-creating if we are in alignment with our hearts. So this is a very personal story. It's a roller coaster of emotions, and but the ending is just such a miracle in itself. So I'm just gonna dive right in. um Me and my fiance Mark have a phenomenal daughter. She is now 8.5. She'll be 9 in October. And when I first got pregnant, it was when I was 20 years old, so I was very young, didn't really know how it was going to work out. And I was working on the pipeline, and I feel like that's important because I was gone 6 weeks and home 1 week. So I'm pregnant, first time pregnant, very young, gone 6 weeks, home 1 week. And on that journey of pregnancy, I was traveling. I was in Tennessee at the time, and I knew I was pregnant, and I just wanted to go to the hospital to get an ultrasound. I just wanted to know what was going on, how far along I was, because I didn't know the details. And the details are very important, especially when you're doing heavy work and lifting pipes and constantly bending. And so I found out I was 11 weeks pregnant with twins. Kinsey was a twin, and I
I
was
didn't
really
even know
excited.
that.
Yes, Kinsey was a twin. Kinsey was a twin. So then I went back to my hotel, and I had wrote an email to our HR unit saying I was putting in my 2 weeks because I just knew that I had to be careful. I just didn't want to be working out in a man-made field and be a woman that was pregnant, because at that time it was already hard to be a woman in that field.
I bet.
Well, then about 10 minutes later, I get a knock on my door, and it is um, someone that's higher up than me asking me to return my laptop, my phone, asking me to return all of my property that belongs to this company because I needed to find my own way home. So I'm pregnant with twins, just found out it's twins. Have no idea. I've never traveled except for with this job, right? So I'm like, okay. So I hand over the work phone, I hand over the laptop, and I'm trying to log in on my personal phone to the emails to try to reach out to HR, because I'm like, why am I being sent home? I just put in my 2 week notice. And they changed my password to my email. So I couldn't even get access into my email to find out what was going on. So then, I'm calling all my family members, like I don't know how to get home. I'm stranded in this small town of Tennessee. And but I needed to find a way home because they weren't paying for my hotel room anymore. They literally just cut me off like that. So I ended up reaching out I got a hold of one of their HR people. Her name was Anne. She lived in Oklahoma, so she was a woman. And she's like, we can't fly you home, but she's like, we'll get you a bus and you'll leave first thing in the morning and we'll send you home by bus. So my car was in Indiana at the time. So I had like a 20-hour bus ride to Indiana. Luckily, my mom picked me up in Chicago and she ended up driving me to Indiana in her car. But this story is important because the whole way on the bus, first I'm alone. I have such bad morning sickness. I was puking the entire way because of the bus ride and just it being bumpy and rocky and motion sickness. The second stop in, an older gentleman walked in. He was probably 80 something years old. And he comes and sits by me. And Lindsay, I had no money. I had literally nothing. This man, he comforted me. He made the bus stop at a gas station. He bought me crackers, 7 Up, all of these things that I would not know what I needed because I've just never been pregnant before. And by the time I got back home, I went to my 12-week checkup and the other twin had vanished. So it's called like vanish twin cyst,
Yeah.
but probably through the stress and things like that. So that is a horror story, but I want it to be known that listen to your intuition. Just listen to your intuition and know when you need to leave work, when you need to go home, no matter what happens along the way. Do what you have to do to protect the creation that you're creating inside. So, Mackenzie,
Um,
yes,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but can I take you down a side path real quick?
yes, yes.
Don't you feel that there are angels among us that show up? And I'm gonna cry saying this, but when we need them in our deepest moments, like our deepest, darkest moments, um, the man that showed up on the bus, like sometimes I feel I've experienced, I had an experience after Roger passed. I was in the park and it was definitely my deepest moments of suicidal ideation. And there was a park that I used to walk. It's actually the park where you did my book launch in Chicago. And beautiful park. And I was doing, there's a loop and you can see everything that's coming, everything that's going. And I was just numb. I was a zombie. I was so deep in dark grief at the time. And a man, an African American man, who just like, as soon as I saw him, I just had this feeling like of resonance with Roger and Roger's energy. Roger's mom worked for the Civil Rights Commission. And he like said hello to me and he said something about having a beautiful day. I can't remember exactly what the words were he said, but that wasn't the important part. It was like this loving energy that just surrounded me. And I literally felt a complete shift. And I continued around the circle and my whole vibration changed. And he was gone. He was gone. And I knew that that was an angel, like that I had just experienced an angel in my presence.
Lindsay, I resonate with that so much with this story. And that's why I think it was so important for me to voice it because he was a literal angel. I mean, I don't remember his name. I remember what he looked like. I remember he was older, but he was on the bus with me. He sat with me until I got off the bus. So in that moment of just feeling like I had no one, God sent me an angel to protect me in those moments and let me know that I'm safe and okay and loved. And that man, I mean, there is just no words in my heart besides comfort when he sat next to me. And It's exactly what I needed in that moment. And like I said, he rode from Tennessee all the way to Chicago, right next to me. He held my hair. He got me bags. He voiced when the bus needed to stop. I mean, he was an anchor in that moment for me. And I knew that everything is divinely led. Um, so Mackenzie was then, born October 23rd, 2016. And then when she was about 3.5 years old, she started asking about siblings. And Mark and I, we decided, you know what, we should start trying. So Kinsey would constantly pray. She would pray to God to bring her siblings, to bring her a brother and sister. She wanted to be a sibling so bad. But most importantly, she always would say, I just want to be an aunt. She just wanted to be an aunt, and she knew she had to have a sibling in order to be an aunt. So December of 2021 rolls around, so 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 5 years later, and I'm pregnant. And this is just such a joy-filled moment in my family. Mackenzie's so excited. We get to tell everyone, I'm pregnant. I'm having this baby. Kinsey gets to be a sibling. She gets to be an aunt. And, I'm anchoring in and I'm feeling into my body and I'm just like, something's not right. But I'm like, is this nerves? Is this hormones? You just never exactly know. So my brother and sister just had gotten back from Alaska. They had their whole family come up to my house and we did the Christmas lights at Brookfield Zoo. So it's around Christmas time. I have my brother, sister-in-law, three nieces and nephews, and then their dogs actually came too. So my house was a literal zoo as well. As we're walking around the zoo that night, I noticed that I wasn't consciously speaking words that I would normally say. So I'm walking around, I'm feeling very weak. I'm telling Mark, I'm not feeling well. And he's like, oh, Autumn, you're okay. Like, we'll get you some water. And then we go up to the polar bear. And we're all outside looking at this polar bear, and some random stranger was saying, like, oh, I knew the polar bear's name. And for some reason, I'm not one to like just outspeak like this. I'm like, oh, I know the polar bear's name. The polar bear's name is Agnes. That polar bear's name is Agnes. The polar bear's name was not Agnes, but this story gets really good. So I walk inside the home of the polar bears. There's like a little gate you could walk in, and I noticed that I needed to go back to the car. There was no more walking for me. I felt very weak, and so I walked myself back to the car, and I just sat there and let everyone else just kind of have their time, enjoy their time. And that night we're laying in bed, and I'm having this. It felt like an elephant was stomping on my stomach, and Mark, he thinks I'm a little dramatic, and maybe, most times I am. So he's like, just get some sleep. We'll wake up. And if you're not feeling better, I'll take you into the doctor's. Well, 3 a.m. rolls around and I'm like, I'm not about to wake up everyone in this house. Everyone's like peacefully sleeping. I'm just going to drive myself to the hospital and see what's going on. Mind you, I don't recommend this, but I woke up at 3 a.m. I left a note to Mark, and I drove myself to the hospital. So as I'm getting the ultrasound, I walk in and the tech's like, hi, Autumn, like, my name's Agnes. She's like, it's nice to meet you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, your name is Agnes? So I knew that whatever was coming is also, divinely led and divinely guided. So I could tell something wasn't right when she was looking on the ultrasound, but I knew because of the relation between the polar bear and the tech that everything was going to be okay. And even though I was again alone, I just knew, I just felt so much love around me. So then, they bring me and they get me a bed, and the nurse walks in and she says, hi, my name is Autumn. The nurse's name is Autumn. My name, very unique name, not ever heard. And she's like, this is my first night on the shift. She's like, trying to make me feel comfortable. And she lets me know, that I'm experiencing an ectopic pregnancy, that the baby is in my right fallopian tube, and my right fallopian tube has split. So they will have to perform a surgery, and I need to get ready and prepared, and that I would be going back to get this as soon as possible because I was leaking a bunch of blood out, and that's why I was feeling so weak and not like myself. So Mark shows up and he's in tears because he had to explain to Mackenzie what was going on, and nobody really knew what was going on. I mean, we didn't have education behind ectopic pregnancies before. So I remember going under and then, waking up with incisions in my stomach. But the fascinating part was when I was in under anesthesia or anesthesiology or whatever. When I was waking up, I was like in between this world and like the 5D, I felt, because I remember seeing my best friend on the other side holding the baby.
We have an exciting opportunity to share with you.
Did you know inside the Soul Revival community, we have a giveaway? One lovely soul is gifted something sacred, a Reiki session, an intuitive reading, a powerful course, or even access into the community itself. This isn't just a giveaway. It's a soul blessing, a moment where healing meets divine timing. You'll feel the shift, you'll see the signs, and you'll know you're not alone anymore. Say yes to your intuition, your healing, your next chapter. Enter now at the link below in the show notes labeled Soul Revival Giveaway for your chance to win.
Let's get back to today's episode.
I remember like opening my eyes and closing them again. And he's just like, Autumn, everything is going to be fine. There's a story in this. There's a story in this that you're going to provide. So I'm like, okay. So I go to my actual gyno, which wasn't the gyno that performed the surgery. And I get all these tests done to make sure that, everything's okay for me to try for another child. Everything came back good as gold. He's like, you're ready. You can try whenever you want. Well, we were going back to back to back to back. And I think I told you this before, Lindsay. That's the fun part. Trying for a baby is the fun part. And so 6 months later, July 26th of 2022, I find out I am pregnant. And I'm so excited. And, to get into the gyno for just that first appointment is so extremely hard. It takes like 8 weeks to even book the appointment. It's not like first come, first serve. It just takes time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take myself to the hospital because then you get answers right away. There's no stress, there's no worry. And I just had this like intuition pull that I needed to take myself in. So I'm sitting in the waiting room, and this hospital is it's a small area. There's not very much room. And I sat there for 10 and a half hours waiting for this ultrasound. 10 and a half hours. But I'm like, you know what? I need to know. So the ultrasound tech takes me back finally, and her face looks shocked. Her face looks completely stunned. And I'm just like, okay, this is just not going to be the news I want. My gyno actually came down. His name's Dr. Bonaminio. He is an angel sent too. He is so phenomenal. He actually greets me and he pulls me aside and he's like, hey, Autumn, he's like, I'm very sorry to tell you the news, but you're experiencing another ectopic pregnancy. But this one wasn't an actual ectopic. It wasn't in the fallopian tube. This one, the woman that performed my first surgery didn't take the fallopian tube out all the way, or the fallopian tube grew back. Either or, we're not sure because both can happen. But the baby actually attached to the outside of my uterus. So somehow it conceived and then it moved to the outside of my uterus. And it was growing. It was thriving out there, but obviously you can't have that outside of the uterus. So the ultrasound tech was very, very kind, and it's important that I mention her. I forget her name, but when I tell you about closing out chapters and at the end, it's just going to blow your mind. So again, I go for surgery, 3 incisions in my stomach. He was able to remove the child, but he had to take part of my uterus with it. So a big chunk of the outside of my uterus was removed as well. So my uterus had a weak spot. And so again, I go for all of this testing. He says everything's fine. He says the weak spot's a little bit of a concern, but the uterus lining is strong enough and it's a muscle, so it'll grow back. And he's like, if when you are ready, because there's a lot of grief that comes with this, there's a lot of um my mind was so quick to attach to things that weren't resonating with me. Like a lot of times I would say, wow, Autumn, like you're what are you worth if you can't produce? Mean things like that my mind would say and sometimes attach to, but my heart would change that and be like, no, there's a story in here. No matter what the outcome is, there's a story. You are worth this. And I would always try to switch the script when my mind would try to pull me down.
Is
Um,
that just to pause you for a second, because I think this is important for everybody listening. Is that the what you use to try to keep you out of fear? Like, how did you keep yourself from being fearful, especially going through this multiple times?
I think what kept me out of fear was I just knew there was a story. I remember Dustin telling me that there was a story, and I anchored into that. Mind you, I did have fear. I had so much fear, but I knew that I was brave. I knew that no matter what, I was a brave soul, and I've conquered so much. And as long as there was a will, there was a way. And if the doctor and all the tests were coming back positive, I just knew that there wasn't a way that I wasn't going to keep trying. It's like if at first you don't succeed, try again. So and Mackenzie, I mean, during after this second ectopic, I mean, she was 6.5 now. I would catch her on the porch writing in her diary, "Dear God, what do I have to do to have a sibling? Please bring me my brother, bring me my sister." And I would look out the window and I could see these in her notes, like, and I knew that her heart was longing for this soul, and I always knew in my heart too that I would have a boy. And so I just anchored into the love. I anchored into the love because no matter what, fear is always going to be there. Fear is always going to be there telling you you're not good enough. Well, who are you to keep trying, you know? And but my heart is so much bigger than that. And I had to keep trying. And so I again go through all the testing. This time he goes me I go through more extreme testing. And he comes back and he tells us around September probably or October that when we're ready we could start trying again. And at this point, I'm like, I just need time to grieve, time to process, time to understand. And I'm like, we're going to take all protection measures this time. So whenever the time is right, um, we will try again. Well, 2023 rolls around in January. So I gave myself like 3 months and I'm like, okay, I got to try again. And I recommend really listening to your own body because some people take years, and that's okay. Time doesn't exist on the other side. Take as long as you need. But I just felt like in my heart, I was ready again. So January rolls around and we begin to start trying, and I get pregnant at the end of February. I find out the news, and this time, I my doctor gets me in right away. I go uh, to the high risk part of the doctors, and they they see the baby, but it's too it was too little to really say where it was, so I had to come back in 3 weeks. And so I'm about almost 10 or 11 weeks pregnant now, and I'm going in for the next ultrasound, not really knowing, but really feeling into love, like feeling into love. This is going to work this time. They saw the embryo. It's happening. But unfortunately, this time the baby did begin to grow in the uterus, but my weak spot absorbed the baby through the uterus lining. So it was in the uterus lining muscle tissue and it was beginning to grow. Um, the doctor took me back for surgery immediately. I mean, Dr. Bonamini, like I said, he is such an angel. He really also is a catalyst to this journey for me. He is very heart center, heart led. And he has done everything in his power to bring through this baby for me. So But during this surgery, unfortunately, I hemorrhaged, so I began to bleed out. I had to go through this extensive process where they completely had to like cut me open like a C-section. My uterus split. Um, he had to stitch my uterus from top to bottom. And coming out of this pregnancy, he met us in the room before I even came back, and he sat down and he held our hands, and he told us that we should not try for another child. And instantly I got a hit. And it's saying that this is the beginning. This is the beginning, and this is where the magic really takes hit home. And I visualized, spirit brought through my third eye, me spending every morning healing my uterus, sending Reiki to my uterus, visualizing a child being born, visualizing. I would always see like a purple energy, but then also a rainbow energy entering my uterus every morning in meditation. Moon water was huge. I would speak affirmations of divine feminine healing into my moon water. And so as much as I should have listened to his words this time, they did not resonate inside of my body. I knew that there was a calling, and God or my highest self or the oneness vibration, whatever you believe in, told me that I am the co-creator of my reality. So when I anchor into the belief of having this child, it will come through. When I visualize myself holding this child, I will come through. The difference between this pregnancy and the last one is I always had that little ounce of fear of, oh my goodness, this is another ectopic. I have to go in. I have to go in and get checked. Like this could be, I was always anchoring in, even though I had faith and love, I was anchoring into that. This time around, after I healed, and actually I have to mention too, because this time around I was in the hospital a lot longer. And when you're in the hospital, for this kind of situation, you go in the baby and delivery unit. So
Oh,
as much as you're grieving and you're upset, you're hearing all these newborn babies crying and mothers being mothers for the first time and just a lot of emotions. But there was a woman, again, angel sent. She would bring Mark and I homemade muffins and homemade cupcakes, and she stitched me this 4-leaf clover that I still have on my wall. She made us blankets. She really came in every morning and every night to check in on us, and she was fun. Like, she was fun. No matter what I was going through, she didn't hold me at that vibration. She looked at me like a human, and it really was a light. It was a spark in our days spent there, because I think I was there 2 nights and 3 days during that time. So then I go home and I begin my healing journey, and I am on a mission, Lindsay. I am on a mission. Every morning I'm sitting in meditation, channeling the frequency of God to my uterus, to my womb area, sending vibrations of love and growth and healing, and seeing the energy particles in my uterus mending and harmonizing and becoming one and working together, right? And so the doctor had told me that my uterus wouldn't be able to hold a baby. So Mark and I had long talks. Mark's like, Autumn, I don't know if we should try again. Like, I don't know if we can process this. Mackenzie luckily only knew about the first ectopic. She didn't know about the other ones. I would just tell her I kind of had a stomach bug, because that was
yeah.
what came to mind. And so I would journal about co-creating this life with a family of 4, and sitting and talking to Mark. He at first he was, asking me all these questions like, are you sure you can handle this? Are you strong? I'm like, I am strong enough. I am brave. I'm telling you, I am getting this message. This soul is going to come through. And Mark's like, okay, I will support you. I will be here. We will try again. And I took about a year and a half to really process, to really heal, and to really anchor into the belief that I am going to be a mother again. Not attaching to anything that was less than, allowing myself to detach, to observe, to understand. and really visualizing using my senses to heal that uterus, to and people that are going through infertility, because I know that there's a lot of people that are having hard times even getting pregnant. Um, this is so important to understand that sometimes the doctors just go off of what they know. And it's so important to feel into what you know and anchor into what you know and not what they are telling you. Because if I would have labeled myself as a mother that wouldn't be able to produce again, I know I wouldn't have brought through this soul. But
And I think that's why, just to take a quick pause, it's so important to have both, right? Have great medical care or mental health care, whatever it is you need, and making sure that you are tuning into your intuition and the spiritual piece, because they can layer together, and sometimes you just have to trust that deep knowingness. Like, you had a deep knowingness that you were calling in this baby, and that outweighed the doubt and fear that was created, by what you'd experience, what you were being told. So I think that's why it's so important, just as a reminder for people, to tap into both, and not just, if it doesn't resonate with you, not to attach to it fully.
Be sure to check out the show notes below to see if you're the winner of our giveaway.
yes. Oh, and I have to mention this sign too. So when Mark was kind of like, asking me if this is really what we want, because just as much as I was grieving as a mother, I mean, I didn't realize how hurt he was as a father. And he was at work one day, and outside of his like windshield, he was looking at these trees. There was four cardinals, which we have four babies in heaven. And then he had like his to go container up on the dash. And so when he took the picture, the reflection of the to go like styrofoam container ended up showing up as like an ultrasound image. So there was four cardinals outside of this ultrasound image, but in the ultrasound image you could see almost like an orb, like a soul trying to come through. So that was a sign too to me and to him as well that we can do this. So meditation was huge, understanding and releasing myself from any kind of stresses in the day-to-day life, really anchoring into co-creating with the universe. It was me and the universe, baby, and nothing else was coming in between that. Mind you, doctors are amazing. My doctor is phenomenal. So understand exactly what Lindsay said. Understand what they're saying, but if your intuition and your soul is telling you something different, keep trying, and trying not to attach to the label they're putting on you. Understand it from an outside view, but really know that you are capable of visualizing and feeling in with your senses to co-create the reality of your dreams. So now fast forward to May 2024, and I am pregnant again. And I mean, we're really great at getting pregnant. And these babies on the other side, they always come through too. So I'm so grateful for their guardian energy and just their protection and just their innocence. It allows me to have more fun in my day. So as much as it hurts and I'm grieving them, I understand, and I get to tap into that playful energy as well, because they are so fun and innocent. I find out in May 2024 that I am pregnant again. So I already know. I'm like, I am not going to go to my doctor Bonomio yet, because he had said not to. So I take myself to the hospital that I had first gone to when they first told me that I was having an ectopic pregnancy. And I go for the ultrasound, and I'm sitting in the waiting room, and then I get called back. And Lindsay, you're not going to believe this. To anyone listening, you're not going to believe this. Autumn walks in. Autumn walks in, and she's like, "Hi, I'm Autumn. I'm your nurse." And she's like, "Oh my gosh." She's like, "I remember you." She remembered me. She's like, "It was my first time here." She's going on and on about, the experience we had. She's like, "I will never forget that, because I don't hear Autumn quite often." And so, we're waiting for the test to come back. There's so many synchronicities amongst the two of us. And she comes back in, and she's like, you're pregnant and the baby's in the uterus and you are about 8 weeks pregnant. And I am like, oh my gosh, I like literally wanted to cry. I was so incredibly grateful. It's a surreal moment. It still brings me back in time because I believed in myself. I put myself first. I anchored into love and I did the darn thing. I did it. And so then I called my Dr. Bonaminio. I let him know, hey, 8 weeks pregnant, no worries. The baby's in the right spot this time. The very next day he has me come in. The very next day he squeezed me in. I'm now going through a very high risk pregnancy. And it was a lot of worries. It was a lot of worries because the doctor was telling me that with the uterus being stitched up, any contraction I had, if the babies began to grow, any kick could split the weak spot in the uterus, until we got older and could test the muscle, until the baby grew at like 21 weeks, was when we could really find out how things were going. So once a week I was going into the doctors, high risk doctors, just getting tested, stress test, up until 21 weeks. When 21 weeks hit, they were going to have me do like a CAT scan, I believe, to test the muscles, but they actually were able to do it through this other device. I don't know exactly what it was called, but the doctors were completely shocked because they were like, your uterus is stronger than it was the first time you came in here. They were like, they couldn't believe what they were seeing. And Dr. Bonaminio was just, giving himself a pat on the back, and I give him all the credit, but at the same time, I'm like,
Yeah.
if only you knew the
Yeah.
work I put into this. So
And the other side.
exactly the other side, 100%. So at I have to go backwards because at the 18-week ultrasound that I went to, the second ectopic I had from that ultrasound tech came through. She was my ultrasound tech at this ultrasound at 18 weeks, and I didn't remember her. I did not put two and two together. I was just like, hoping that this was good to go and I could get home. She came up to me and she's like, I remember you. She's like, I was the one that discovered the ectopic outside of your uterus. And most techs don't tell people these things because
Right.
grief can arise and things like that. But when she had told me that, it was almost like instantly so much released out of my body. It was another closing. So the first ectopic was closed out by Autumn getting to tell me that I was pregnant. The second ectopic was almost like closed out, like it wasn't open anymore. It was closed out because she came back and told me again that the baby's fine, everything's strong, everything's working, everything's good to go. And then from the 20 weeks on, any any type of contraction I had to go to the hospital. So it was stressful to bring through this son, but it was everything that I could have imagined. So at third, actually, there was a lot that was going on in between too. I had a lot of amniotic fluid, so that was more weight in my uterus. The baby was in the 98th percentile. That was a lot of weight in my uterus. But again, I would just take it slow. I would meditate and just visualize and almost like telepathically communicate to Marky while he was inside of my stomach. Like, what do you need from me today? Constantly checking in to understand what he was feeling and what I was feeling. So then we could meet in the middle. Like if he was feeling stressed or, uncomfortable in any way, I would rest that day. Walking was very important. If I could just get out and walk a little bit was very important just to get the momentum moving during this time. But then around 30 weeks, it started to get really, really rough. I had actually I began my pregnancy at 150. By the time I was 36 weeks, I was 220 pounds. I had gained a lot of water weight, excessive weight. but I didn't care. I didn't care about what was happening as long as I was capable of carrying the child. That was the only thing that mattered to me at that time. So 36 weeks, I end up going in for an emergency C-section. It was kind of planned. The doctor was like, hey, if you come in at 37 weeks, because usually that's what they want you to wait till you're considered full term. He's like, I won't be in this day. He's like, and I really want to be the one to deliver this child. So he's like, come here at 6 a.m. Let him know, that what you're experiencing. And he's like, I'll have everything ready for you. So at 6 a.m., I go to the emergency room, like, hey, I'm experiencing this and this and this. I need to go to the birthing and get checked out. So as soon as I enter the doors, the doctor and all the nurses are waiting for me. Like, Autumn, we've been waiting for you. We've been expecting you at 6 a.m. It's 6 a.m. It was just like a celebration.
Party.
It was a party. And I was just like, oh my goodness, this is actually happening. So I get all ready, and I have an emergency C-section, which the process of the emergency C-section is rough. I mean, the anesthesia,
Anesthesia?
no, not the anesthesia, because you don't go under
Oh, the
epidural.
epidural.
Yes, the epidural, I felt everything. The lady, bless her heart, I don't know if she didn't insert it the right way, but I was literally in tears because it was hurting so bad. And then the anxiety of knowing your body is going paralyzed, but you are consciously awake and you can't move anything. And I was like, doctor, I need pillows under my shoulder. I'm double jointed. My shoulders are gonna fall off. I'm, feeling all of these emotions, but I'm just like, okay, Autumn, just calm yourself. You're about to give birth to an amazing boy. And the doctor let Mark take pictures of everything. So as
Oh, wow.
corny as that may seem, it's actually such a beautiful image because Mark has pictures of the doctor pulling him out. Us being attached by the umbilical cord. It was phenomenal how accepting and beautiful the doctor made the experience. So Marky gets pulled out. The doctor, this is the biggest pre-me baby because it was 36 weeks. The doctor has ever pulled out 8 pounds, 5 ounces at 36
Oh my
weeks.
gosh.
And as soon as he comes on my chest, it's just like this story that's going to anchor into so many feminine figures out there trying to have a child, because it was a full circle moment. And so we go to the birthing suite this time with the baby, and all I wanted to do was see that woman again, see the woman, and I still don't even remember her name. So we're asking all these nurses. There was a nurse, there was a CNA, like someone here that really made us feel comfortable. And we're trying to explain her personality, and nobody knows who we're talking about. Okay. So I'm like, maybe it's just not meant to be, but man, it would be really nice for her to meet our son. And so we spend the days there, but I'm eager to get home because unfortunately, as we wanted Mackenzie to be the first one to hold Marky, but they had COVID restrictions going on at the time.
Wow.
So no one younger than 18 could come in. And so then I called Mackenzie and I'm like, hey, family wants to come, but I want you to be the first one to hold Marky. Like, is it okay if they come? And she was so open. Yes, they need to know. They need to feel him. They need to know his love. She was so open to people coming and meeting him. So I was so grateful for that. But I was so eager to get home. So I had a C-section. 2 hours later, I was up and walking around my room, not to push myself, but because I've already gone through this, and it was a different frequency I was in. It was a frequency of empowerment, of willpower, of worthiness, of, oh my gosh, I can do this. If I can do this, I can do anything. We are the
They
co-creators.
just co-created a miracle.
Yes, exactly. When you tune into the other side and allow their frequency to really guide you, so much is possible. So yes, I could have been sitting in the bed, anchoring into the pain, anchoring into, oh my gosh, when am I going to walk again? But instead I was anchoring into love. And I think that that's the message here. I was anchoring into love. If I could do this miracle, I have the power, the willpower to stand up and begin walking, because the sooner I was walking, the sooner I could get out of there to get home and get my family together. And so I get out the second day, or no, actually it was 2 nights, 3 days, but the doctor actually wanted me there for 5 days. So I got out on the 3rd day, and I was released, the doctor came in and he's like, "Hey," he's like, "good news is your uterus is perfectly fine. So if you want to try again," I'm like, "No, no, no, I could, but no, no, I'm good with this miracle. I'm very good with this miracle. I'm so grateful." And so when we're being released, I hear this woman coming down the hallway and her voice is so per like specific. It just resonates. It rings a bell with me. And Mark actually was out there too with her laughing. And I'm just like, who is he bringing in this room right now? Like I could just tell it was excitement energy. The woman we were searching for the entire time comes walking in with my wheelchair. She remembers us. She gives us the biggest hug. She actually takes Marky out of the car seat. She's like holding Marky. She's playing with him. Mark is actually a junior, so we named Marky after Mark as a first of all, it's a generational thing in his family, but also just because it was well deserved. And so she is the one that got to wheel me out of the hospital and put me into the car. So again, the 30 topic pregnancy that I had was then closed out in that moment. And I really got to go home and experience such a beautiful miracle in such a phenomenal way. And Marky is an old soul. I mean, I feel his energy. He fought to be here. And I'm in every person that's having infertility issues, please don't anchor into the lower vibrations. Please do yourself the favor and anchor into love. Know that you are experiencing something, but that doesn't define who you are. That doesn't make you any less of a human, any less of a person. You are such a magical miracle in this world itself, and you deserve all of the miracles as well. And I just really hope that this story touches base to the people that are meant to hear it, because it has been from my very first ectopic pregnancy. I knew that this moment in time would be coming where I would be explaining this situation to so many other grieving mothers and mothers that are feeling that shame in their heart. Don't allow it to anchor in. Allow it to be there and flow out just as fast as it comes in, because you matter, babies matter, miracles matter, and you are worthy of co-creating miracles into your life each and every day.
Oh, Autumn, such a beautiful story of love, of trust. Thank you for being so vulnerable with your story and sharing all the details. I'm sure it resonates with everyone listening, whether you are a mom already, if you're trying to be one now, if you're going through this struggle right now, or if you're just trying to heal something within you from a health issue outside of pregnancy. There are so many amazing nuggets and takeaways in your story that I think ultimately just come back to returning to a deeper knowing, returning to the energy of love, returning to the energy of openness and trust that you are divinely protected and you're divinely guided, and that we are here for a reason, and that souls get called in for a reason. And what an amazing story of you calling that in and like being that portal for your beautiful baby boy. And I've had the pleasure of seeing him virtually. I'm sure I'll get to meet him soon in person, but you can tell just by looking at him that he has had many lifetimes and that this lifetime is for a reason.
Absolutely. And one quick other little cool sign. So I'm a Scorpio sun, an Aquarius moon, and he actually is an Aquarius sun and Scorpio moon. So he's in complete
Reflection.
reflection
Yeah.
in a way
Yeah.
of me. So that just
Ugh.
feel in the love even more. And sorry, I forgot to mention this too. His actual birthday was on Valentine's Day. February 14th of 2025, but he came 30 at 36 weeks. So that was another beautiful sign of love and trusting that love. So thank you so much, Lindsay. I am so grateful to share this story to so many people, and I hope it reaches the souls that it's meant to.
Oh, 100% will. And I know you're going to be helping so many people with this story. And this is just the beginning. This story is just going to keep going and going and going and bring so many people the hope of possibility and the ability to anchor into that hope of possibilities. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing today. And thank you everyone for listening. Hopefully you got the amazing, powerful nuggets that Autumn shared with you, and you can tap into trust yourself. And
if today's words stirred something in you, that's no coincidence. Your soul is speaking, and it's ready to be heard. If you resonated with today's episode, Spirit is cheering you on, encouraging you. Start choosing yourself again. Start saying yes to your healing and join our sacred community over at www.thesoulrevival.com.
Because healing is better when we do it together. If you love this episode, be sure to hit follow, leave a review, and share this with someone who's ready to return to their soul self. Thank you, Aligned Souls.